Beyer, Baylor, Bach, Brackett, Buckner-Webb, Cameron, Davis, Durst, Fulcher, Getty, Guthrie, Hagedorn, Hyder, Hill, Johnson, Keogh, Lacey, Lakey, Lodge, Martin, McKenzie, Mortimer, Nonini, Nuxel, Patrick, Pierce, Rice, Schmidt, Sidaway, Stennett, Thane, Tippett, Beck, Work, Winder, Bayer, Bach, Buckner-Webb, Cameron, Durst, Hill, Johnson, Keogh, Lacey, McKenzie, Mortimer, Nonini, Nuxel, Schmidt, Sidaway, Thane, Vick.
Senator Nonini can be added to the roll call. Roll call shows 22 present, 13 absent and excused. Senators Durst and Senators Vick have an excused absent. A quorum being present, Senate will advance the second order of business. Prayer by Chaplain James Weberding and Pledge of Allegiance. We'd ask our friends in the gallery to rise and join us in prayer.
If you are so inclined, please join me in thanking God for his watch care this week. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for your presence and guidance. It has been a full week of weighty matters. No doubt our Senate team is tired. Thank you for giving them the strength and insight to accomplish so much. And I ask that you please give them what they need for today and give them rest this weekend. I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. We'll now be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by our page, Kyle Hoodenpile.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Senate advance third order of business, reading Corrections Journal. Senator Bach will be recognized present at this order of business.
March 8, 2013, the Judiciary and Rules Committee reports that the Senate Journal of the proceedings of March 7, 2013 was read and approved as corrected. Lodge, Chairman.
The report will be filed in the Office of Secretary. Senator Davis.
Personal privilege, if I may.
You may.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senators, the Joint Committee is still trying to complete the last of the heavier portion of the work they need to do, and so we're going to work our way through the various administrative portions of our agenda. Eventually, however, it is our intent to get to the 10th order of business. When we get there, we'll go at ease in the event that the Joint Committee has not completed its work. I do want you to know that although I announced yesterday that we would be going into the 14th order of business in the Committee of the Whole, we will not be going into the amending order today, but it is our current intent to go into that order of business on Monday. Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent to advance to the 5th order of business.
Prior to advancing, Senator Thane will be recognized present. Without objection, Senate advance 5th order of business. Petitions, resolutions, and memorials. Senator Davis.
I ask unanimous consent that all petitions, resolutions, and memorials be read by number, author, and title only, and the journal show they've been read aloud.
Hearing no objections, so ordered.
In the Senate, Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 123 by State Affairs Committee, a concurrent resolution stating findings of the legislature in honoring 5 Idaho servicemen who fought and lost their lives in Afghanistan within the past year.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 123 will refer to the Judiciary and Rules Committee for printing.
There is no further business in the fifth order.
Senate will advance to the sixth order of business, reports of standing committee. Senate's at the sixth order of business.
The Judiciary and Rules, March 8, 2013, the Judiciary and Rules Committee reports that Senate Bill 1145, 1146, 1147, 1148, 1149, 1150, 1151, Senate Concurrent Resolution 121, and Senate Concurrent Resolution 122 have been correctly printed. Lodge Chairman.
Senate Bill 1145 will refer to the Commerce and Human Resources Committee. Senate Bills 1146, 1147, 1148, 1149, and 1150 will be referred to the Education Committee. Senate Bill 1151 will be referred to Judiciary and Rules, and Senate Concurrent Resolutions 121 and 122 will be referred to the 10th order of business and held for one legislative day.
March 7, 2013, the Judiciary and Rules Committee reports that Senate Bill 1031, 1101, 1102, 1103, 1104, 1001, 1003 as amended, 1004, and Senate Bill 1027 have been correctly enrolled. Lodge Chairman.
The President has signed Senate Bills 1031, 1101, 1102, 1103, 1104, 1001, 1003 as amended, Senate Bill 1004, and 1027, and they will be transmitted to the House for the signature of the Speaker.
March 7, 2013, the Health and Welfare Committee reports out House Bill 142 with the recommendation that it be referred to the 14th Order of Business for amendment. Hyder, Chairman.
Hearing no objection, House Bill 142 will be referred to the 14th Order of Business for amendment.
March 7, 2013, the Health and Welfare Committee reports out House Bill 188 and House Bill 211 and recommend that they do pass. Hyder, Chairman.
House Bills 188 and 211 will be referred to the 12th Order of Business, second reading.
March 7, 2013, the Local Government and Taxation Committee reports out House Bill 140 and recommend that it do pass. Sit away, Chairman.
House Bill 140 will be referred to the 12th Order of Business, second reading.
March 8, 2013, the State Affairs Committee reports out House Bill 107, 161, 181, Senate Bill 1105, and Senate Bill 1112, and recommend that they do pass. McKenzie, Chairman.
House Bills 107, 161, and 181, and Senate Bills 1105 and 1112 will be referred to the 12th Order of Business, second reading.
There is no further business in the sixth order, Mr. President.
Senator Davis.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent to advance to the 8th order of business.
Without objection, send advance the 8th Order of Business. Messages from the Governor. Senate's at the 8th Order of Business.
March 7, 2013, the Honorable Brad Little, President of the Senate. Dear Mr. President, I have the honor to advise you that I have signed today and am transmitting to the Secretary of State the following Senate bills to wit: Senate Bill 1016 and Senate Bill 1017. As always, Idaho, C.L. Butch Otter, Governor of Idaho.
Correspondence will be filed in the office. Secretary and Senator Sitaway will be recognized present at this order of business.
There is no further business in the 8th order, Mr. President.
Advance the 9th Order of Business. Messages from the House. Senate's at the 9th Order of Business.
March 7, 2013. Mr. President, I transmit herewith House Bill 218, 223, House Concurrent Resolution 17, House Bill 251, 253, 255, 232, House Concurrent Resolution 14, House Bill 244, House Bill 45 as amended, House Bill 98 as amended, House Bill 91 as amended, House Bill 113 as amended, and House Bill 30 as amended, which have passed the House. Alexander, Chief Clerk.
House Bills 218, 223, House Concurrent Resolution 17, House Bills 251, 253, 255, 232, House Concurrent Resolution 14, House Bill 244, House Bill 45 is amended, House Bill 98 is amended, House Bill 91 is amended, House Bill 113 is amended, and House Bill 30 is amended, will all be referred to the 11th order of business for introduction.
March 7, 2013. Mr. President, I transmit herewith enrolled House Bill 10, House Bill 153, 109, 163, and House Bill 203 for the signature of the President. Alexander, Chief Clerk.
The President has signed House Bill 10, House Bill 153, House Bill 109, House Bill 163, and House Bill 203, and they will return to the House.
March 8, 2013. Mr. President, I return herewith Senate Concurrent Resolution 104, which has been signed by the Speaker. Alexander, Chief Clerk.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 105 will be transmitted to the Secretary of State.
There is no further business in the ninth order, Mr. President.
Mr. President.
Senator Davis.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent to advance to the 11th order of business.
Without objection, the Senate advance the 11th order of business. Introduction, first reading of bills. Senate's at the 11th order of business. Senator Davis.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that all bills on first reading be read by number, author, and title only in the journal show they've been read at length.
Without objection, so ordered.
The Senate, Senate Bill Number 1152 by Finance Committee, an act appropriating monies to the Division of Professional Technical Education for fiscal year 2014. In the Senate, Senate Bill Number 1153 by Finance Committee, an act reducing the appropriation to the Catastrophic Health Care Cost Fund and directing a transfer for fiscal year 2013. In the Senate, Senate Bill Number 1154 by Finance Committee, an act appropriating monies to the Idaho Commission for Libraries for fiscal year 2014. In the Senate, Senate Bill Number 1155 by State Affairs Committee, an act relating to water districts to clarify compensation provisions relating to water masters and assistants. In the Senate, Senate Bill Number 1156 by State Affairs Committee, an act relating to irrigation districts to provide for the partition of certain irrigation districts and to provide for partitions to partition. In the Senate, Senate Bill Number 1157 by State Affairs Committee, an act relating to irrigation districts to provide that certain limited liability companies shall have the same rights and privileges in the conduct of irrigation district business as do natural persons.
Senate Bills 1152, 1153, 1154, 1155, 1156, and 1157 will all be referred to the Judiciary and Rules Committee for printing.
In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 218 by Education Committee, an act relating to school bonds to revise provisions relating to the issuance of school bonds. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 223 by State Affairs Committee, an act relating to concealed weapons to revise the definition of concealed weapon and to make a technical correction. In the House of Representatives, House Concurrent Resolution Number 17 by Health and Welfare Committee, a concurrent resolution stating findings of the legislature rejecting a certain rule of Department of Health and Welfare relating to alcohol and substance use disorders treatment and recovery support services facilities and programs. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 251 by Appropriations Committee, an act appropriating monies to the Industrial Commission for fiscal year 2014. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 253 by Appropriations Committee, an act appropriating monies to the Public Utilities Commission for fiscal year 2014. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 255 by Appropriations Committee, an act relating to the appropriation to the Department of Labor. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 232 by State Affairs Committee, an act relating to the insurance contract to define terms and to establish that any notice to a party or any other document required under applicable law in an insurance transaction or that is to serve as evidence of insurance coverage may be delivered, stored, or presented by electronic means. In the House of Representatives, House Concurrent Resolution Number 14 by Health and Welfare Committee, a concurrent resolution stating findings of the legislature and rejecting a certain rule docket of the Idaho Fish and Game Commission relating to rules governing the taking of big game animals in the state of Idaho. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 244 by Revenue and Taxation Committee, an act relating to fire protection districts, to provide for an exception and to make technical corrections. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 45 as amended by Business Committee, an act relating to engineers and surveyors, to revise provisions relating to disciplinary actions and procedures. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 98 as amended by Health and Welfare Committee, an act relating to medical indigency, to revise the declaration of policy to include dependents. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 91 as amended by Commerce and Human Resources Committee, an act relating to employment security law, to further define exempt employment and to make a technical correction. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 113 as amended by Agricultural Affairs Committee, an act relating to actions in particular cases, to provide a short title regarding the Idaho Agritourism Promotion Act. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 30 as amended by Judiciary Rules and Administration Committee, an act relating to the administration of oaths and affirmations.
Senators Johnson, Keogh, Lacey, Mortimer, and Schmidt will all be recorded present at this order of business. House Bill 218 will be referred to the Education Committee. House Bill 223 will be referred to the State Affairs Committee. House Concurrent Resolution Number 17 will be referred to Health and Welfare. House Bills 251, 253, and 255 will all be referred to the Finance Committee. House Bill 232 will be referred to Commerce and Human Resources Committee. House Concurrent Resolution Number 14 will be referred to Resources and Environment Committee. House Bill 244 will be referred to Local Government and Taxation Committee. House Bill 45 as amended will be referred to Commerce and Human Resources Committee. House Bill 98 as amended will be referred to the Health and Welfare Committee. House Bill 91 as amended will be referred to Commerce and Human Resources Committee. House Bill 113 as amended will be referred to the Agricultural Affairs Committee. And House Bill 30 as amended will be referred to the Judiciary and Rules Committee. Senator Baer will be recognized present at this order of business.
There is no further business in the 11th order, Mr. President.
Senate advance 12th order of business, second reading of bill. Senate's at the 12th order of business. Senator Davis.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that all bills on second reading be read by number and author only, and the journal show they've been read at length.
Hearing no objections, so ordered.
In the Senate, Senate Bill Number 1080 by State Affairs Committee. In the Senate, Senate Bill Number 1108 by State Affairs Committee. In the Senate, Senate Bill Number 1079 by State Affairs Committee. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 233 by Appropriations Committee. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 234 by Appropriations Committee. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 235 by Appropriations Committee. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 236 by Appropriations Committee. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 237 by Appropriations Committee. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 238 by Appropriations Committee. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 184 by Revenue and Taxation Committee. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 187 by Revenue and Taxation Committee. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 26 by Business Committee. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 44 by Commerce and Human Resources Committee. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 46 by Business Committee. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 117 by Transportation and Defense Committee. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 118 by Transportation and Defense Committee. In the Senate, Senate Bill Number 1059 as amended by Judiciary and Rules Committee. In the Senate, Senate Bill Number 1018 as amended by Judiciary and Rules Committee. In the Senate, Senate Bill Number 1045 as amended by Transportation Committee. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 130 as amended in the Senate by Resources and Conservation Committee. In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 167 as amended in the Senate by Transportation and Defense Committee.
Senator Nuxel will be recorded present at the 12th order of business. Senate Bills 1080, 1108, and 1079 will be referred to the 12th order of business. House Bills 233, 234, 235, 236, 237, 238, 184, 187, 26, 44, 46, House Bill 117, House Bill 118, and Senate Bills 1059 is amended, 1018 is amended, 1045 is amended. House Bill 130 is amended in the Senate. House Bill 167 is amended in the Senate. Will all be referred to the 13th order of business, third reading calendar. Senator Davis.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent Senate return to the 10th order of business.
Without objection, the Senate will return to the 10th order of business and has for final consideration.
Mr. President,
Senator Davis.
ask unanimous consent Senate go to use of the call.
Without objection,
chair.
Senator, be at ease. The only guy missing is Cameron. What's that? Oh, he wasn't ready to go. Okay. Well, he's not first. Senate will come to order. Senate is at the 13th order of business. That was an interrogative. We're in the 10th order of business. And Senator Cameron will be recorded. No, he won't. We're the 10th order of business has final consideration House Concurrent Resolution number 16. Secretary will read the resolution.
Resolution number 16 by Education Committee. A concurrent resolution stating legislative findings and declaring support for Invent Idaho Day to acknowledge and celebrate this creative student work and to invite a display of such projects at the Capitol Rotunda after each state competition. Be it resolved by the Legislature of the State of Idaho, whereas over 1,000 Idaho students participated in Invent Idaho competitions last year, and whereas this program addresses...
Mr. President.
Senator Getty.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that further reading of HCR 16 be dispensed with and the journal show it's been read at length.
Without objection, so ordered.
Mr. President, I move adoption of HCR 16.
Senator Buckner Webb.
I second the motion.
Been moved and seconded. The Senate adopt House Concurrent Resolution number 16. Senator Getty is recognized to open debate on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. For some reason, I thought she was going to have to read the whole thing. This resolution honors Invent Idaho. It's a contest for young people. I'm not sure the age group, but someplace between about 8 and 13 or 14, I believe. I attended the event last year. It's in Moscow. It was really neat to see what these young people did. The resolution cites one individual, Carson McGee, who is diabetic and invented a device that I believe has commercial value. And it was honored as an ambassador for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation as a result of his work there. If this gets passed, I think I'll have the opportunity to read the resolution to these young people, and I'm sure it will mean a lot. With that, Mr. President, debate is open.
For the debate, Senator Cameron will be recognized, President, of this order of business. Hearing no further debate, Senator Getty is recognized to close debate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Debate is closed.
Debate being closed. The question is, shall the Senate pass House Concurrent Resolution number 16? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. House Concurrent Resolution number 16 is passed the Senate. The correction title, hearing none, title approved. House Concurrent Resolution number 16 will be transmitted back to the House, Senate, and House for final consideration. House Concurrent Resolution number 6, the Secretary will read the resolution.
In the House of Representatives, House Concurrent Resolution number 6 by Health and Welfare Committee, a concurrent resolution stating findings of the legislature and calling for the Idaho Boards of Medicine, Nursing, Dentistry, and Pharmacy, working with the Office of Drug Policy, the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare, local governments, local law enforcement, and prosecutors.
Mr. President.
Senator Schmidt.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that further reading of the House Concurrent Resolution 6 be dispensed with, and the journal show it has been read at length.
Hearing no objection, so ordered. Senator Schmidt.
Mr. President, I move adoption of House Concurrent Resolution 6.
Mr. President, second the motion.
Second, the Senate adopt House Concurrent Resolution number 6. Senator Schmidt is recognized to open debate on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. House Concurrent Resolution is an attempt for the legislature to endorse solving a serious problem through a non-legislative Idaho way. And I've spoken here on this floor about the serious problem of prescription drug abuse. We have had steeply climbing deaths in our nation. Accidental narcotic overdose now causes more deaths than traffic accidents in the United States of America. These are powerful prescription drugs, and they can have tragic consequences. So, I hope the senator from 16 doesn't mind, but I was spurred by an attempt at legislation 2 years ago to go a different direction. And through cooperation with multiple state agencies, we started a work group to try to address this problem in a multi-disciplinary, multi-agency task force. And we set this up and have been meeting for 2 years. You have seen some statute. We have needed to change some laws, and you have cooperated, and that's been very helpful. But this concurrent resolution is an attempt for the legislature to endorse this entity, which we call the and it has moved to be under the auspices of the Governor's Office of Drug Policy. And so this resolution is asking for the legislature to support the work of this group and to support it with your authority. Our goal is to provide appropriate coordination between licensing entities, law enforcement entities, nursing, and so that we can have an appropriate control on what is a serious problem. Sometimes legislation is needed, but in general, I think this requires a broader hand. And so with that, Mr. President, debate is open.
For the debate. Senator, would you respond to any, will this contemplate the expenditure of funds? Okay, thank you. Further debate? Hearing no further debate, Senator Schmidt is recognized to close debate.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I can see how my words might have brought that fear, but at this point, there is no recommendation for expenditure of funds, and there's no contemplation of that in the future. But this problem is costing us, so I think we need to address it, and I would encourage your support. Thank you. Debate is closed.
Debate being closed and not contemplating the expenditure of funds, a voice vote is in order. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed nay. The ayes have it. House concurrent resolution number 6 is passed the Senate to be returned to the House. The correction title, hearing none, the title is approved. So now is for final consideration, House concurrent resolution number 10. The Secretary will read the resolution.
In the House of Representatives, House Concurrent Resolution Number 10 by Health and Welfare Committee.
Mr. President.
Senator Smith.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that further reading of House Concurrent Resolution 10 be dispensed with and the journal show has been read at length.
Hearing no objections, so ordered. Senator Schmidt.
Mr. President, I move adoption of House Concurrent Resolution 10.
Senator Fulcher. Second the motion. Been moved and seconded that the Senate adopt House concurrent resolution number 10. Senator Schmidt is recognized to open debate on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. House concurrent resolution is another resolution that I'm asking the Senate to adopt, to support. But this directs toward a different, but it is again a medical issue, thus I'm standing up here. But 2 years ago, the legislature instructed the Health Quality Planning Commission in House Concurrent Resolution 39 back in 2010 to study stroke systems and how they're being addressed in Idaho and their care is being addressed. There was significant evidence that people in Idaho have a greater number and a greater disability from stroke than throughout the U.S. So in that 2 years, what has happened is that this Health Quality Planning Commission has identified that Idaho has a significant problem responding to urgent, time-sensitive medical issues. Now, this could be partly because we're sometimes a very rural and spread out state, but it also can be through lack of coordination in a trauma or response system. And I speak to this issue from my experience. So when I'm not in the legislature, I work in a rural emergency room, and I admit that responding to time-sensitive problems can be a significant burden for the care of people in rural ERs. And so this resolution calls on the Department of Health and Welfare to develop a statewide trauma plan that can be used to organize time-sensitive emergency services, mostly having to do with stroke, heart attack, and trauma. You need to understand that the Idaho Hospital Association is in support of this resolution. There have been times in the past when they have not supported this resolution or this concept, and but with the evidence that patient care is of critical importance, they have accepted and strongly support this resolution. And so, Senators, I ask for your support today. Mr. President, debate is open.
Further debate? Hearing no further debate, Senator Schmidt is recognized to close debate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I hope I can have your support. Thank you. Debate is closed.
Debate being closed. The question is that House concurrent resolution number 10 passed the Senate. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed nay. The ayes have it. House concurrent resolution passed the Senate. The correction title, hearing none, the title is approved. House concurrent resolution number 10 will be returned to the House. Senate now is for final consideration. House concurrent resolution number 8. The Secretary will read the resolution.
In the House of Representatives, House Concurrent Resolution Number 8 by Transportation and Defense Committee. A concurrent resolution stating findings of the legislature and recognizing the achievements...
Mr. President.
Senator Brackett.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that further reading of House Concurrent Resolution 8 be dispensed with, and the journal show it has been read at length.
Hearing no objections, so ordered. Senator Brackett.
Mr. President, I move the adoption of House Concurrent Resolution 8.
Senator Buckner-Webb.
Mr. President, I second the motion.
Moved and seconded. Senate adopt House Concurrent Resolution number 8. Senator Brackett's recognized to open debate on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate, House Concurrent Resolution 8 recognizes the achievements of the Idaho Transportation Department and Director Brand Ness. The joint Senate-House Transportation Committee held a hearing early in the session. It was very positive and a lot of favorable comments and reinforced the proposition that ITD has come a long way in the last several years. They streamlined operations, eliminated many layers of management. With realignment, there has been a $5.7 million savings the first year, another $7 million the second year. And with improvements in cash forecasting and project management practices, should provide an additional $100 million for highway maintenance and construction projects over the next 5 years. So it's certainly headed in the right direction. This has increased transparency, and that's greatly appreciated. It's gone a long way to restoring credibility at the Idaho Transportation Department. House Concurrent Resolution 8 recognizes and commends the Idaho Transportation Department for its services to the people of Idaho and for its achievements in creating an innovative and efficient operation that encourages economic growth. With that, Mr. President, debate is open.
Maybe no, is there further debate? Hearing no, Senator Hill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would just like to add my thanks and my praises to the Idaho Transportation Department. I've worked with them several times over the last couple of years, and they have been very responsive to constituents and problems that have arisen, as well as responsive to my needs to be able to respond to some of those things. I think Director Ness has done an outstanding job of, again, cutting some of that middle management, getting the resources down to the roads and the bridges where they need to be. I think he and those who have worked with him, of course, have set an example for many of our state agencies, and I hope that we can follow that example and make our state government even more efficient as Idaho Transportation Department has done. Thank you, Mr. President.
Further debate. Senator Winder.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd rise in support of this. As former chairman of the Transportation Board for 11 years, I've seen significant improvements. As you look at their mission statement, it deals with safety, mobility, economic development. I think that they see the nexus of how important our road system is to the economic well-being of our citizens in the state, and I think they're carrying that out through their policies. I think we all know they need more money to do their job, and that's something that we're going to have to face. So I would just rise in support of this and in accommodation to ITD and put in the back of your mind that sooner or later we're going to have to figure out a way to maintain the investment that we have in Idaho roads and support the Transportation Department with some additional funding. Thank you, Mr. President.
Further debate. Hearing no further debate, Senator Brackett's recognized. Close debate.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank the good senators from 34 and 20 for their very appropriate and timely remarks. With that, Mr. President, debate is closed.
Debate being closed. Question is to House Concurrent Resolution number 8 pass the Senate. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed nay. The ayes have it. And House Concurrent Resolution 8 is passed the Senate. The correction title. Hearing none. Title is approved. And House Concurrent Resolution number 8 will be returned to the House. And now is for final consideration the report of the Commerce and Human Resources Committee on the appointment of Terry Gestrin to the State Insurance Fund Board. The Secretary will read the report.
March 7, 2013, the Commerce and Human Resources Committee reports it has had under consideration the gubernatorial appointment of Terry Gestrin to the State Insurance Fund Board, term to expire December 1, 2014. The committee recommends that said appointment be confirmed by the Senate. Tippit's chairman.
Senator Getty.
I'm sorry, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that the Senate adopt the committee report.
Senator Buckner Webb.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded that the Senate adopt the report of the Commerce and Human Resource Committee. Senator Getty is recognized to open debate on the report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, fellow members, I first met Terry Gestrin when he was appointed by the gentleman on the second floor to represent business community on the State Insurance Fund Board. Since his appointment to the House and the retirement of Representative Black, they have switched positions. Representative Black now represents business, and Representative Gestrin represents the House seat. Mr. Gestrin has owned Long Valley Farm Service. It's a family business. He has lived in Valley County. He's fourth generation Valley County resident. He's been a member of the State Insurance Fund Board since 2008, so this is a reappointment. From 1995 to 2005, he served on the Valley County Commission. He was their chairman for 8 years. He served 5 years on the board of the Idaho County's Risk Management Program. He's very, very in tune with what's going on with the State Insurance Fund and with the economy in this state. With that, Mr. President, debate is open.
Further debate in the committee report. Senator Thane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, or Mr. President. I just want to rise and tell you how much I appreciate Representative Gestrin, who's now serving in the House. I really had the opportunity to get to know him when we actually ran against each other in the primary, and we became quite good friends. He's a very stand-up guy, very calm, thoughtful, and I would urge your support.
Further debate? Hearing no further debate, Senator Getty is recognized to close debate on the committee report.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I certainly appreciate the comments from the gentleman, or the senator from District 8. Debate is closed.
Debate being closed, the question is, does the Senate adopt the report of the Commerce and Human Resources Committee on the appointment of Terry Gestrin to the State Insurance Fund? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The report has been adopted, and the governor will be so notified. Senator Winder. That objection, Senator, be at ease. What the hell is this?
Senators, while we're at ease, I'd like to make an introduction. One of our pages, Cameron Sear and his family are up here in the gallery. If they'd please rise, I'd like to acknowledge them. Thank you.
Here's your, so we're in the 10th order, and they're going to go back to 6. Senate will come to order. Senator Davis.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent Senate return to the 6th order of business.
Without objection, Senate return to 6th order of business. Reports to Standing Committee. Sends that to 6th order of business.
March 8, 2013, the Transportation Committee reports out Senate Bill 1134 and recommends that it be re-referred.
Senate Bill 1134 will be referred to the State Affairs Committee.
There is no further business in the 6th order, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent Senate advance to the 13th order of business.
Without objection, Senate advance 13th order of business. Third reading of bills. Senate has for final consideration Senate Bill 1139. Secretary will read the bill.
In the Senate Bill number 1139 by Finance Committee, an act appropriating monies to the public health districts for fiscal...
Mr. President.
Senator Smith.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that further reading of Senate Bill 1139 be dispensed with, and the Journal can show it has been read section by section at length a third time and placed before us for proper consideration.
There being no objection, Senator Smith is recognized to open debate.
Thank you, Mr. President, fellow senators. This is an appropriation bill for the public health districts. This is the fiscal year 2014 appropriation. It appropriates $8,232,500 from the general fund to the districts. This reflects a maintenance budget. The public health districts per Idaho Code determine the disbursement methodology in allocating these state funds across the 7 regions. The current methodology considers population, poverty rate, and local tax contributions. Local tax dollars to the 7 districts are typically close to the amount received from the state, and districts often also receive funds from contracts, sometimes from the Division of Public Health in the Department of Health and Welfare, as well as receiving fees for the services they provide. The mission of the public health districts is to prevent disease, disability, and premature death, to promote healthy lifestyles, and to protect and promote the health and quality of our environment. In terms of the maintenance of this department, I think that it's important to understand that things are changing in the healthcare landscape in Idaho, and these districts are very comfortable with this budget and can see that they will need to be making some adjustments on their services they provide in the future. I would appreciate your support, but at this point, debate is open.
Debate being open, is there further debate on Senate Bill 1139? Hearing no further debate, Senator Smith is recognized to close debate.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Debate being closed.
Debate is closed.
Debate being closed. The question is, so Senate Bill 1139 pass. Senate Secretary will call the roll.
Baer. Bayer. Bach. Brackett. Buckner-Webb. Cameron. Davis. Fulcher. Getty. Guthrie. Hagedorn. Hyder. Hill, Johnson, Keo, Lacey, Lakey, Lodge, Martin, McKenzie, Mortimer, Nonini, Nuxel, Patrick, Pierce, Rice, Schmidt, Sidaway, Stennett, Thane, Tippett, Vick, Winder, Brackett, Vick,
Senator Brackett, on the final passage of Senate Bill 1139, how would you like to be recorded?
Senator votes aye.
Senator Brackett recorded as voting aye.
There is also a pair vote. Senator Work voting aye and Senator Durst voting nay.
Roll call shows 33 ayes, 1 nay, 1 absent excuse. Majority haven't voted in the affirmative. Senate Bill 1139 is passed Senate. The correction title. Hearing none, the title is approved. Senate Bill 1139 will be transmitted to the House and now is for final consideration. Senate Bill 1140. Secretary will read the bill.
In the Senate, Senate Bill number 1140 by Finance Committee. An act appropriating monies to the Department of Self-Governing Agencies for the medical boards for fiscal year 2014.
Mr. President.
Senator Johnson.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that Senate Bill 1140, further reading of Senate Bill 1140 be dispensed with, and the journal show that it has been read the third time at length, section by section, and placed before the Senate for final consideration.
Hearing no objections, Senator Johnson is recognized to open debate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good Senators, this is a fiscal year 2014 appropriation for the medical boards. It appropriates $489,600 in 3 FTPs to the Board of Dentistry, $1,617,500 in 13.8 FTPs to the Board of Medicine, $1,240,500 in 10.5 FTPs to the Board of Nursing, $1,489,600 and 14 FTPs to the Board of Pharmacy, and $238,600 and 2 FTPs to the Board of Veterinary Medicine, for a total of $5,075,800 and 43.3 FTPs. It includes the following line items: $157,200 for an online licensing system at the Boards of Dentistry, Medicine, and Pharmacy, $17,600 for quality assurance staff salary increases at the Board of Medicine, $3,300 for a salary increase to the Associate Director at the Board of Medicine, $18,100 for the Physician Recovery Network contract at the Board of Medicine, $100,000 for workforce development analysis at the Board of Nursing, $5,300 for a salary increase to the Executive Director at the Board of Nursing, $5,400 for new computers at the Board of Nursing, $50,800 for a new technical record specialist at the Board of Pharmacy, $58,900 in federal funds for the Prescription Monitoring Program grant at the Board of Pharmacy, and a $5,000 object transfer from operating expenditures to personnel costs for staff salary increases at the Board of Veterinary Medicine. Good Senators, this budget is a reduction in dedicated funds and overall funds from last fiscal year. And with that, Mr. President, debate is open.
For the debate. Hearing no further debate, Senator Johnson is recognized to close debate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Debate is closed.
Debate being closed. The question is, so Senate Bill 1140 passed. Senate Secretary will call the roll.
Bear, Bayer, Bach, Brackett, Buckner-Webb, Cameron, Davis, Fulcher, Getty, Guthrie, Hagedorn, Hyder, Hill, Johnson, Keo, Lacey, Lakey, Lodge, Martin, McKenzie, Mortimer, Nonini, Nuxel, Patrick, Pierce, Rice, Schmidt, Sidaway, Stennett, Thane, Tippett, Vick, Winder, Vick, There is also a pair vote, Senator Work voting aye and Senator Durst voting nay.
Roll call shows 33 ayes, 1 nay, 1 absent excused. Majority having voted in the affirmative. Senate Bill 1140 is passed. Senate, the correction title, hearing none, titles approved, and Senate Bill 1140 will be transmitted to the House. Senate now is for final consideration. Senate Bill, Senator Davis.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent Senate Bill 1142 hold its place on the calendar for one legislative day. May I explain?
You may.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senators, the floor sponsor has an excused absence for the balance of the day.
Hearing no objection, it will hold its place on the calendar till Monday. Senate now has for final consideration Senate Bill 1143. The Secretary will read the bill.
In the Senate, Senate Bill number 1143 by Finance Committee, an act appropriating monies to the Division of Veteran Services for fiscal year 2014, limiting the number of
Mr.
authorized...
President.
Senator Johnson.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that further reading of Senate Bill 1143 be dispensed with, and the journal show that it's been read the third time at length, section by section, and placed before the Senate for final consideration.
Hearing no objection, Senator Johnson is recognized to open debate.
Thank you, Mr. President. And good senators, this is the fiscal year 2014 appropriation for the Division of Veteran Services. It appropriates $971,500 from the general fund, $17,998,600 in dedicated funds, and $10,396,600 in federal funds for a total of $29,366,700 and 316.7 FTPs. It includes $211,900 in dedicated funds and associated FTP for 6 new direct care staff at the state veterans homes, $64,800 in federal funds for prescription and medical director contracts, $678,700 in dedicated funds, and $178,300 in federal funds for new capital outlay in operating equipment, including clinical billing software, communications equipment, medical and therapy equipment, facilities and maintenance equipment, and 1 replacement vehicle. $635,000 in dedicated funds and $300,000 in federal funds for agency-funded DPW projects, including a heating, cooling system, and parking lot repairs at the Lewiston home, replacement and improvements at the Veterans Cemetery, and repairs at the Boise home. $110,000 in dedicated funds for the suicide hotline. This would be the second year we'd do that. $50,000 in dedicated funds for IT services relating to the inclusion of veterans designation on driver's licenses. $5,000 for enhanced drug testing of division applicants for employment, and $250,000 in dedicated funds to study the feasibility of a 4th veterans home. That would be in Post Falls. With that, Mr. President, debate is open.
Further debate on Senate Bill 1143. Hearing no further debate, Senator Johnson is recognized to close debate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good senators, debate is closed.
Debate being closed, the question is, so Senate Bill 1143 passed the Senate. The Secretary will call the roll.
Baer, Bayer, Bach, Brackett, Buckner-Webb, Cameron, Davis, Durst, Fulcher, Getty, Guthrie, Hagedorn, Hyder, Hill, Johnson, Keogh, Lacey, Lakey, Lodge, Martin, McKenzie, Mortimer, Nonini, Nuxel, Patrick, Pierce, Rice, Schmidt, Sidaway, Stennett, Thane, Tippett, Vick, Work, Winder, Durst, Vick.
Roll call shows 33 ayes, no nays, 2 absent excused. Majority having voted in the affirmative. Senate Bill 1143 passed the Senate by the correction of the title. Hearing none, titles approved. Senate Bill 1143 will be transmitted to the House. Senate now is for final consideration. Senate Bill 1144. The Secretary will read the bill.
In the Senate, Senate Bill number 1144 by Finance Committee, an act appropriating monies to the Agricultural Research and Cooperative Extension Service for fiscal year 2014.
Mr. President.
Senator Johnson.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that further reading of Senate Bill 1144 be dispensed with, and the journal show that it has been read at length the third time, section by section, and placed before the Senate for final consideration.
Hearing no objections, Senator Johnson is recognized to open debate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good Senators, this is a fiscal year 2000 appropriation for the Agricultural Research and Extension Service in the amount of $24,474,700. This service is a component of the University of Idaho's College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, and it receives its own legislative appropriation. The Research and Extension Services work includes research on major Idaho agricultural products and on economic activities that apply to the state as a whole. The research portion of this service includes 12 research and district offices across the state, and the cooperative extension portion of this service has offices in 42 of Idaho's 44 counties. Ag Research and Extension has taken several actions to address a 20% reduction in funding over the past 4 years, including securing funding from private partnerships. However, those private funds are decreasing, and this budget includes 2 line items to address those needs. Line item number 1 provides an additional $1 million for operating expenditure and one-time capital outlay. And line item 2 provides $13,600 of operating and maintenance dollars for the lab at the Kimberly Research Center. These line items will bring several functions back into operations at the 12 research and extension centers across the state. Specifically, these funds will allow Ag Research and Extension to pay utility costs for heating and cooling of greenhouses and for irrigation water, allow the purchase of fuel, fertilizer, and seed, help pay for building and equipment maintenance, and to purchase farm and office supplies. All of these funds are in operations and capital outlay and will not be used for personnel costs. This budget reflects a 3.5% increase in general funds. This appropriation brings Ag Research and Extension Services up to 86% of its FY 2010 general fund appropriation. With that, debate is open, Mr. President.
Further debate? Hearing no further debate, Senator Johnson is recognized to close debate.
Thank you, Mr. President. It must be the sweater. With that, debate is closed. Thank you, Mr.
Debate
President.
being closed. Question is, so Senate Bill 1144 passed. Senate Secretary will call the roll.
Bear. Bayer. Bach. Brackett. Buckner-Webb. Cameron. Davis. Fulcher. Getty. Guthrie. Hagedorn. Hyder. Hill. Johnson. Keogh. Lacey. Lakey. Lodge. Martin. McKenzie. Mortimer. Nonini. Nuxel. Patrick. Pierce. Rice. Schmidt. Sidaway. Stennett. Thane. Tippett. Vick. Winder. Davis.
Senator Davis.
Explain my vote.
You have 60 seconds.
Sweater notwithstanding, Senator votes aye.
Vick. There is also a pair vote. Senator Work voting aye, Senator Durst voting nay.
Roll call shows 33 ayes, 1 nay, 1 absent. Excused. Majority haven't voted in the affirmative. Senate Bill 1144 is passed. Senate. The corrections title. Hearing none. Titles approved. Senate Bill 1144 will be transmitted to the House. Senate now is final consideration. Senate Bill 1021. Secretary will read the bill.
In the Senate, Senate Bill number 1021 by Health and Welfare Committee, an act relating to nurses to grant the Executive Director of the Board of Nursing certain authority and to make a technical correction. Be it enacted by the...
Mr. President.
Senator Martin.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that further reading of Senate Bill 1021 be dispensed with and the journal show it has been read the third time at length, section by section, and placed before the Senate for final consideration.
Hearing no objection, Senator Martin is recognized to open debate.
Mr. President and fellow senators, Senate Bill 1021 amends Idaho Code to authorize the Board of Nursing's director to share investigative information and otherwise cooperate with the appropriate regulatory and law enforcement agencies. Unlike other Idaho professional licensing boards, the Board of Nursing currently has limited statutory authority to share investigative information with law enforcement and other agencies. This proposed legislation is identical to the legislation signed into law in 2010 granting the same authority to 29 other regulatory boards. Senate Bill 1021 has no fiscal impact on the general fund and will not result in any nursing fees. Mr. President, debate is open.
Debate being open. Is there further debate? Hearing no further debate, Senator Martin is recognized to close debate.
Mr. President, debate is closed.
Debate being closed. Question is on Senate Bill 1021. Pass the Senate. Senator Winder.
Thank you, Mr. President. To ask unanimous consent, the roll call vote used for the passage of Senate Bill 1143 be now used for the passage of Senate Bill 1021.
Hearing no objection, roll call shows 33 ayes, no nays, 2 absent excused. Majority having voted in the affirmative. Senate Bill 1021 is passed the Senate. The correction title. Hearing none, title is approved. Senate Bill 1021 will be transmitted to the House. Senate now is for final consideration Senate Bill 1111. The Secretary will read the bill.
In the Senate, Senate Bill number 1111 by State Affairs Committee, an act relating to the Condominium Property Act to revise provisions relating to the allocation of percentages of ownership interests.
Mr. President.
Senator Stinnett.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that further reading of Senate Bill 1111 be dispensed with and the journal show that has been read a third time at length, section by section, and placed before the Senate for final consideration.
Hearing no objection, Senator Stinnett is recognized to open debate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Senators. This is Senate Bill 1111, and it codifies current practice with regard to the allocation of common area within a condominium development for the purpose of paying the property taxes owed in that common area. In a condo development, an owner owns all the space with his or her own condo unit. He or she is then apportioned a percentage of the common area for purposes of paying the property tax bill on that common area. The owner would then pay the property taxes due on his or her condo, as well as the taxes for the percentage of the common area he or she has been allocated. I'm not sure this sounds any more or less complicated than all the allocation bills, but I'm trying to simplify them. The law requires the manner of apportionment to be set forth in the governing documents of the condo association, which is considered the declaration. Current law requires the apportionment to be made on a market rate basis, while the national standard for apportionment is on a per square foot basis. So if you have 1,000 square foot condo if you were to have 1,000 square foot condo and I have 1,000 square foot condo, we would both be apportioned the same amount of the common area that the taxes we pay on it. Our bills would be the same. The vast majority, an estimated over 90% of condo associations in Idaho, use this per square foot basis to apportion the common area. This legislation simply adds the ability to use the per square foot method in addition to the market-based approach. This approach holds those condo associations that are following the current laws harmless, while at the same time providing safe harbor for those associations using the national standard. This legislation is in no way impacts the amount of overall property tax paid or how the common area is assessed. It simply codifies current practices regarding who pays what percentage of the tax owed. We also believe that this legislation will protect condo owners from unnecessarily from legal liability and reduce significantly the cost of compliance with the current statute. With that, Mr. President, the debate is open.
For the debate, Senator Fulcher.
Thank you, Mr. President. And good senators, this is a good bill, and I just wanted to thank the good senator from 26 for bringing it up. And I know there was a constituent issue in her constituency that brought it up, but I wanted to just speak to it for a moment because sometimes we may not really understand what is referred to by common area. And here would be just a real quick example. If you have if you live in a condominium project, you own a condominium, frequently there is an elevator or a stairway, or it could be defined as the parking area or the landscaping. That's known as common area. And the common practice of how the taxes are paid on those is by square foot. At least in my experience, it's based on square foot. But it was surprising to me when I looked and saw that the statute actually has it by value. And there might be circumstances where you would want to do that. But the common practice that I am familiar with, that all of the projects that I have personally worked with are tied to a square foot basis. So if you've got 1,000 feet condo and your neighbor is a 1,000-foot condo, that common area is assessed that way. But the way this reads, if your condo had granite countertops and brass fixtures and was valued at a higher level, that means you'd have to pay more of the common area tax. So this, in my opinion, brings the statute in line with practice. It adds the flexibility. If you do happen to be in an area where that development rationalizes or justifies divvying up those taxes differently, that still allows the current practice. But this makes it more flexible and, in my opinion, Mr. President, good senators, more fair. So I'll be supporting the bill and thank the good senator from 26 for bringing it forward.
Further debate? Hearing no further debate, Senator Stent is recognized. Close debate.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I thank the good senator from 22 and for all his help on this and helping me find those experts who know more about real estate at a finer level than I do, so that the debate is closed.
Debate being closed. Question is, so Senate Bill 1111 passed Senate. Senator Winder.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent the roll call vote used for the passage of Senate Bill 1143 be now used for the passage of Senate Bill 1111.
Hearing no objection, roll call shows 33 ayes, no nays, 2 absent, excused. Majority haven't voted in the affirmative. Senate Bill 1111 is passed. Senate, the correction title. Hearing none, titles approved. Senate Bill 1111 will be transmitted to the House. And now is your final consideration. House Bill 168. The Secretary will read the bill.
In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 168 by Transportation and Defense Committee, an act relating to motor carriers to define terms and to provide that indemnity agreement in a motor
Mr. President,
Senator Buckner-Webb.
I ask for unanimous consent that further reading of House Bill 168 be dispensed with and that the journal show it has been read the third time at length, section by section, and placed before the Senate for final consideration.
Hearing no objection, Senator Buckner is recognized to open debate.
Thank you, Mr. President and fellow senators. This legislation was brought to us by the Idaho Trucking Association. The legislation would void contractual provisions in motor carrier transportation contracts that indemnify a shipper from their own neglect or intentional acts or omissions that lead to claims. It states that such provisions would be against the public policy of the state of Idaho and unenforceable. The bottom line is that House Bill 168 clarifies that both parties to a motor carrier transportation contract, meaning the shipper and the carrier, can each only be held responsible for activities under their control. The proposal is limited to transportation contracts. The bill defines the term motor carrier transportation contract as a contract, agreement, or understanding which covers transportation of property for compensation or hire, entrance on the property by motor carrier for purposes of loading, unloading, or transporting property for compensation or hire, or a service incidental to those activities. House Bill 168 maintains the incentive for a shipper that is party to a motor carrier transportation contract to perform its legal obligations and duties in a prudent and reasonably safe manner. It does not take away any contractual obligations of the motor carrier. The expectations that the carrier provides a secure container for transportation of the goods and a truck that's adequate for shipping the load. It does not establish any new duties or responsibilities for either party. It does not limit either party's freedom to contract. House Bill 168 is based on a model legislation from the American Trucking Association, and similar bills are now in place in over 37 states. Mr. President, debate is open.
For the debate,
Mr. President.
Tippett.
Mr. President, I wondered if the sponsor would yield to a question.
Senator Buckner-Webb, would you respond to an inquiry?
Yes, sir.
Senator Tippett for the inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. President and Senator. As I'm looking at the language in the bill, on line 31, it refers to loss or damage resulting from the negligence of intentional acts or omissions. When you were reviewing the bill, you changed the word of to or, and you referred to negligence or intentional acts or omissions. So I'm wondering, Senator, if we possibly have a typographical error here. Is the word of in line 31 really intended to be or as opposed to of?
Senator Buckner
I
Webb.
believe that's a possibility, sir. It should.
Without objection, Senate Beatties.
Thanks.
You come with me.
Welcome to Idaho in Session, Legislature Live. Idaho in Session is sponsored by the Idaho State Broadcasters Association, the J.A. and Catherine Albertson Foundation, Union Pacific Foundation, Idaho Association of Counties, Idaho Cable Telecommunications Association, Association of Idaho Cities, and your contributions to the Idaho Public Television Endowment.
Senate will come to order. Prior to going east, the Senate was in the 13th order of business, and debate was open on House Bill 168.
Mr. President.
Senator Davis.
Mr. President, for unanimous consent request.
You have the floor.
Thank you. Mr. President, Senators, our Senate Rule 9F allows for the correction of typographical or clerical corrections, but that those typographical or clerical corrections can only be done by unanimous consent. And so I'm going to make a unanimous consent request and explain it more and what we have done. On page 1 of the bill, yes, I realize there's only one page, on line 31, where it says, resulting from the negligence of intentional acts or omissions, that of to be changed to an or. And so that is my unanimous consent request to change of to or. May I explain?
You may.
Thank you, Mr. President. That is what this bill's sponsor and the originator from industry intended. That sponsor is here, not in our chambers, but we have just confirmed with him that it is a technical error, a typographical error that needs to be corrected. In addition to that, I have confirmed with a member of the leadership in the body across the rotunda as well. And so I believe it's an appropriate request, the kind of a thing we do under Rule 9F, and I make that unanimous consent request.
Is there objection? Hearing no objection, so ordered. The Senate now has for final consideration House Bill 168. Debate is open. Further debate? Hearing no further debate, Senator Buckner-Webb is recognized to close debate.
Debate is closed, Mr. President.
Debate being closed, question is so. House Bill 168 passed the Senate. The Secretary will call the roll.
Baer, Bayer, Bach, Brackett, Buckner-Webb, Cameron, Davis, Fulcher, Getty, Guthrie, Hagedorn, Hyder, Hill, Johnson, Keogh, Lacey, Lakey, Lodge, Martin, McKenzie, Mortimer, Nonini, Nuxel, Patrick, Pierce, Rice, Schmidt, Sidaway, Stennett, Thane, Tippett, Vick, Winder, Bayer, Bach, Getty, Nonini, Thane, Vick, there is also a pair vote, Senator Work voting aye and Senator Durst voting nay.
Roll call shows 29 ayes, 1 nay, 5 absent skews. A majority have voted in the affirmative. House Bill 168 has passed the Senate. The correction title, hearing none, title is approved, and House Bill 168 will be returned to the House. Senate now is for final consideration. Senate Bill 169. Secretary will read the bill.
In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 169 by Transportation and Defense Committee, an act relating to special license plates to provide for the legislature's
Mr. President.
Senator Rice.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that further reading of House Bill 169 be dispensed with, and the journal show it has been read the third time at length, section by section, and placed before the Senate for final consideration.
Hearing no objection, Senator Rice is recognized to open debate.
Mr. President, members of the Senate, this is not actually a special plate bill. This is more on the order of an anti-special plate bill. Last year we passed a process for future special plates with the intent that we wouldn't be jamming up our calendar with them as much. because we would get some preliminary vetting of those in the Transportation Department. There were some flaws in that particular legislation that we didn't discover until we were looking at the department's attempt to write a rule for it. And so what this does is provides that if somebody collars their legislator anyway, instead of going to the Department of Transportation and going through all the steps that we wanted gone through, that if it did manage to get past both bodies, and that it'd still have to go through the process before they could get any plates issued, so that they'll still have to do what we intended for them to do last year. And so this essentially makes the process of collaring your legislator the slowest of the options and may keep some of those special plate bills off of our plate. And with that, debate is open.
Debate being open, is there further debate? Senator from 29.
Thank you, Mr. President or Chair, whatever. I just want to make a little statement on this. Due to a committee assignment I have this year, I've become very aware of how difficult it is to keep track of money that once it leaves the initial piece of, once it leaves the state, and a special thing that we were involved with a previous employer, that we were getting money from a tax checkoff. And the money was very substantial that we were getting. Very fortunate that people are so generous. However, when I talked to the tax commission the very first year and said, what kind of report do you need? What do I need to do? The word was, we don't care what you do with the money. In an effort to be transparent, we do send them, and in the last 2 years, the legislature, a annual report of where the money goes and what it goes to. But I see in this bill, and I apologize, it's not really about the qualifications, but I see that it says a report should be given if requested. Why can't we make that has to be given? We need to start keeping track of where our money is going and what they're doing with it. I mean, once the individuals get the money, it could be going to anywhere, and we don't know. So, thank you.
Is there further debate? Seeing no further debate, the senator from 10 is recognized to close debate.
Mr. President, members of the Senate, I appreciate the comments from the senator from 29. It is that is an interesting point and a useful point. One thing with 501c3s is that they do have to make their financial records public. They are available. You can get them. That might be something to add later, I think. I personally don't like special plates to start with, and hopefully we won't be seeing many of them, but with that, debate is closed.
Debate being closed, the question is, shall House Bill 169 pass? The Secretary will call the roll.
Bayer, Bach, Brackett, Buckner-Webb, Cameron,
Aye.
Davis, Durst, Vulture, Getty, Guthrie, Hagedorn.
Mr. President.
Senator from 14.
Mr. President, if I could have 60 seconds to explain my vote.
You have 60 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think one of the things that we need to be cognizant of is the state has very limited profit centers. Folks voluntarily bringing money into the state coffers. And specialty plates is one of those profit centers. A specialty plate brings in over $100 per plate that we sell on a voluntary basis. So we might not like specialty plates, but you know something? They bring more money to the state coffers on a voluntary basis that go directly to our roads, and over time that's less taxes that we have to expend. So with that, Mr. President, the senator votes aye.
The senator is recorded as voting aye.
Hyder, Hill. Johnson. Keough. Lacey. Lakey. Lodge. Martin. McKenzie. Mortimer. Nonini. Nuxel. Patrick. Pierce. Rice. Schmidt. Sidaway. Stennett. Thane. Tippett. Vick. Work. Winder. Durst. Getty. Nonini. Pierce. Vick.
Roll call shows 31 ayes, 0 nays, 4 absent or excused. The majority have voted in the affirmative. The bill has passed. Is there correction to the title? Hearing none. Hearing none, the bill will be returned to the House. The Senate now has before it for final consideration House Bill 139. The Secretary will read the bill.
In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 139 by Revenue and Taxation Committee, an act relating to income taxation to provide for a sourcing formula to Idaho for partnership income with exceptions, declaring...
Mr. President.
Senator from 34.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that further reading of House Bill 139 be dispensed with, and the Journal show has been read the third time at length, section by section, and placed before the Senate for final consideration.
You've heard the unanimous consent request. Is there objection? Hearing none, it is so ordered, and the Senator from 34 is recognized to open debate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate, this is going to be fun. House Bill 139 is to codify the legislature's position that we took last year when we rejected a rule that was proposed by the State Tax Commission regarding the taxation of guaranteed payments. Now, first of all, don't let the term guaranteed payments scare you off, okay? Because it's kind of a misleading term. For these purposes, what we're talking about, a guaranteed payment is compensation paid to a partner from a partnership for services that are performed. It's salary. It really has nothing, it's not guaranteed at all, okay? It's the compensation paid to a partner. Now, the State Tax Commission was taking what some of us thought was an aggressive approach on the taxation of compensation paid to a non-resident partner by a partnership or an LLC that's taxed as a partnership that's doing business in Idaho. Now, under traditional tax policy, wages paid to someone, to anyone, those wages are taxable to the person in the state where he performs the services. So, if Micron has an employee who lives and works in Utah, that employee's wages, the W-2 he gets, are taxable to Utah. They're Utah wages, not Idaho wages, even though Micron's corporate business is here in Idaho. Now, that's true whether the employer is a regular corporation, an S corporation, a limited liability company, or a partnership, or so we thought. State Tax Commission has taken the position that the compensation paid to a non-resident partner in an LLC or a partnership, though, is taxable to Idaho to the extent that the employer's operations are located in Idaho, even though the employee is both living and working in another state. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. And you might want to have a pencil and paper for this if you'd like, but Senator from District 1, and the Senator from District 35, I picked the two extremes here, extremes in numbers, I should say, and I, the three of us, we're equal partners in a limited liability company that has stores in Idaho and Wyoming. Okay, got that picture? Now, the Senator from 1 lives in Sandpoint. Senator from 35 lives in Terraton, Mud Lake, that area there. I, for purposes of this example, have to live out of state, so I'm going to pick Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Okay, close to my home. Senator 1 from District 1 is paid $10,000 for her services. Senator from District 35 is paid $10,000 for his services. I am paid $5,000 for my services because I'm worth half as much. Okay? So I got $25,000 in wages paid to the three of us. After our wages are paid, there's still $30,000 profit left in the LLC or in the partnership. And because we're equal partners, that's going to be split equally three ways, $10,000 to each of us. We'll report that on our tax return that way. Now, that remaining profit is allocated between Idaho and Wyoming because, remember, we have stores in both places based on an apportionment formula that is determined by the sales in both states, the payroll in both states, and the property owned in both states. And there's an apportionment schedule that you fill out and you come up with a percentage. For purposes of my example, let's just assume that that percentage comes out that 40% of the business operations are in Wyoming and 60% are in Idaho. Okay, senator from 1, senator from 35, you figure this out. They got $10,000 salary, right? And they got $10,000, their share of the profits of the $30,000 that's left over. So they got $20,000 they're going to report, and because they live in Idaho, all of that's going to be taxed to them in Idaho. But we don't care about them. This is all about me, okay? I got my $5,000, which I earned in Wyoming, and those are Wyoming wages. Of the profits, though, I've got my $10,000, but according to the apportionment formula, 4,000 of those profits are Wyoming, the other 6,000 are Idaho. So even though I don't live in Idaho, I don't work in Idaho, I've got $6,000 worth of profits that are apportioned to Idaho, and I have to file a non-resident income tax return and pay taxes to Idaho on the $6,000. Okay? Now, Wyoming doesn't have any income tax. So, but I still have to pay the $6,000 on the $6,000 profits in Idaho. Well, the State Tax Commission says no. We want to apply the apportionment formula not only to the profits that are left over, but we want to apply it to your wages too. And so we're going to take 60% of my $5,000 wages, and we're going to say that's also apportioned to Idaho. So not only are you paying on the $6,000 of profits, you're paying on the $3,000 or 60% of your wages. You're going to report that in Idaho and pay tax on that too. So I'm going to pay on $9,000 instead of $6,000. Well, what this bill says is no, no, no. Just because the owner is an owner in an LLC or a partnership, his wages shouldn't be taxed any differently than if it's in some other kind of entity. Now, admittedly, to avoid any abuse, which you could have in any other kind of entity as well, we put a cap on this in the bill, that the wages paid to me up to $250,000 will be treated as wages, but anything else in it over and above $250,000 is going to go back into that apportionment schedule, and part of that's going to be taxed in Idaho in that case. But up to $250,000 is going to be treated as wages like it was from some other type of entity. That's what the bill does. Now, let's talk about the fiscal impact for a minute, because $440,000, that's a lot of money. Okay? I think it's overstated. Now, the State Tax Commission did the best job they could. This is a hard thing, and you know, some of these are really difficult to try to estimate. But they based it on what they would have collected if we had left them alone to enforce this the way they interpreted it, versus getting nothing on the salary portion. The State Tax Commission estimates, at least back in 2008 when they've got records to do it, that 60% of the partnerships have been doing it their way. These are only partnerships with operations in Idaho that have non-resident partners. 60% have been doing it their way. 40% have been doing it wrong. Okay? Now, the fiscal note assumes that those 60% will now pay less tax on the compensation under that $250,000 limit. But it hasn't accounted for the 40% who will start paying tax on the compensation over $250,000 based on this bill. Now, part of the problem also is that 40% believe that they're doing it right under current federal and state law. The fiscal note also doesn't consider the savings to the State Tax Commission of clarifying the law, making it clear, thus avoiding audits and appeals and letting them use their resources to go after other people, who really do owe the tax. I'm not sure what the fiscal note should be. The point is, regardless of the fiscal note, this is the right thing to do. We said it last year when we rejected the rule. We're saying it now in this bill, and I'd ask for your support. Mr. President, debate is open.
Debate being open. Is there further debate? Senator from 35.
Mr. President, thank you. Good senators, when I was a kid, I had a neighbor, and he had some chickens. And he had a kid that was about my age too, and so every now and again when we didn't have anything to do to entertain ourselves, we would go out and catch one of those chickens and get a piece of string, and we'd lay that chicken down on the ground and force his head down to the ground and lay that string out in front of that chicken. And that chicken would become hypnotized. And you could let go of that chicken, and he'd just lay there on the ground looking at that string. Well, about, what's it been, 8 or 10 days ago, I was the chicken, and this bill was the string. And I had read that bill 20 times in my office, and if the good senator from 27 and 33 wouldn't have come along and drugged me out of there and taken me to dinner that night, I may have been found dead the next morning in my office. I couldn't understand that. I couldn't, and I looked back through every section that was mentioned in this and read the Idaho Code, and I just couldn't get my head around any of it. And I couldn't figure out where that $250,000 came from, what that had, what relative value, where that came from. There's no way. And so I did call the good senator from 34, and he came in and explained it to me. And I assume I am like you here today. It just, the lights opened up, the heavens came clear, and we're now aware that this is a good bill should pass. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is there further debate? Senator from 6.
Thank you, Mr. President. If the good senator from District 34 would yield to a question.
Senator from 34, will you yield to a question?
Senator will yield.
The senator yields. Senator from 6 may state his question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good senator. My question is this. You used an example where a state does not charge income tax. If this was a state that charged income tax on that income, then would Idaho try to come back and charge income tax on that same amount of income that the home state just taxed?
From 34.
Mr. President, Senator.
From 6.
From 6. Yes and no. Yes, Idaho would require that to be taxed just the same. However, because the other state, because the taxpayer would be paying tax in the other state, there would be a credit on the Idaho return for the taxes paid in that other state. Or if they lived in that other state, say I lived in Utah instead of Wyoming, I would report all the income in Utah, and then I would get a credit in Utah for the taxes that I paid to Idaho. This really only is a concern if it's another state that does not have an income tax. Fortunately or unfortunately, Idaho borders 2 states that don't have an income tax, and so it becomes a relevant issue on occasion.
Senator from 6.
President, if the senator from 34 would yield to another question.
Would the senator from 34 yield further?
Senator will.
The senator yields. Senator from 6.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good senator. I did take some notes, and I'm just trying to follow the string here. So if that state, let's say it was another state that charged income tax, and let's say the tax owed on that income was $300, then in Idaho, would they, that tax credit that they received, so if Idaho said, well, there's $400 owed and that state charged you $300, so then Idaho would just try to collect the additional $100?
Senator from 34.
Mr. President, Senator from 6, I think we got it backwards here. At least the example I'm understanding is like I was living in Idaho and had the income in the other state. What we got here is I'm living out of state. I got some Idaho income. I have to report that as Idaho income, regardless of what the formula is, whether it's just on wages or whatever. I report that income in Idaho. I pay the tax on it, period, whatever that tax ends up being. In my home state of Utah, I report all of my income because that's what you do as a resident of any state. I pay the taxes on that, but I get a credit in Utah for the taxes I pay in Idaho. However, that credit is limited. It can't be more than the taxes I pay in Utah on that particular income that I reported in Idaho.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, good Senator.
Is there further debate? Seeing no further debate, the senator from 34 is recognized to close debate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I told you it was going to be fun, and I want to thank the senator from 35 for helping me keep my word. With that, Mr. President, debate is closed.
Debate being closed, the question is, shall House Bill 139 pass the Senate? The Secretary will call the roll.
Bear. Bayer. Bach. Brackett. Buckner-Webb. Cameron.
Aye.
Davis. Fulcher. Getty. Guthrie. Hagedorn. Hyder. Hill. Johnson. Keogh. Lacey. Lakey. Lodge. Martin. McKenzie. Mortimer. Nonini. Nuxel. Patrick. Pierce. Rice. Schmidt. Sidaway. Stennett. Thane. Tippett. Fick. Winder. Davis. Getty. Johnson. Lakey.
Senator from 12 for
Mr. President,
Rice.
60 seconds.
Senator has 60 seconds to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senators, generally, I find accounting to be less than fun, but I think it likely that this debate may be an exception to that rule. Senators votes aye.
Senators recorded as voting aye.
Nonini. Schmidt. Fick. There is also a pair vote, Senator Work voting aye and Senator Durst voting nay.
Roll call shows 31 ayes, 1 nay, 3 absent or excused. The majority have voted in the affirmative. The motion is carried, and House Bill 139 is passed the Senate. Is there correction to the title? Hearing none, title is approved, and House Bill 139 will be returned to the House. From 33.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that all bills in the third reading calendar, 13th order of business, be reordered, placing Senate bills at the top, followed by House bills as amended in the Senate, followed by House bills.
You've heard the unanimous consent request. Is there objection? Hearing none, it is so ordered. Senator from 33.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent in advance of the 15th order of business.
You've heard the unanimous consent. Is there objection? Hearing none, it is so ordered. The Senate will advance to the 15th order of business, miscellaneous business, and adjournment. Senator from 33.
Mr. President, Senators, with the current pace of work from 10 to noon and from Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, that's what we will currently target to do next week. We'll have to see how our calendar goes, and we may have to make adjustments throughout the week. We may come in earlier on Tuesday and Thursday, depending upon morning committee work, and I'll have to visit with Chairman on that. But we need to stay on top of our calendar. We are doing a very good job right now, and I appreciate it very much. We will, however, adjourn shortly to the hour of 10 a.m. on Monday. Prior to adjournment, I ask if there are introductions or announcements.
Senator from 6.
Mr. President, thank you. For an announcement.
Senator has the floor.
Just to let everyone know, the Idaho State Police did graduate 15 new troopers today, and so I'd like to congratulate them on that. They were in the Rotunda today, and they still might be out there. So if we get an opportunity, we might just congratulate them and thank them for their service to this great state of Idaho, and to you, sir, in the gallery. Thank you.
Thank you. Further announcements? Senator from 20.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's our intention to go into the amending order on Monday, so if you're going to have amendments for that consideration, please have them to the Secretary by 4 o'clock this afternoon. Thank you.
Senator from 17.
No, Mr. President, I just want to know how the senator from 35 figured out the string trick in the chicken.
Mr. President, the clear answer to that is old Shep told me about it.
Is there further announcements? Senator from 28.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's come to my attention that Trooper Fritz Swaggart has been with us this week. He is from Marsh Valley and grew up with my son, and if you would welcome him, I would make him feel welcome and appreciate his service. Appreciate that.
We thank the trooper for being with us. Is there further announcements?
Mr. President, I move that the Senate adjourn till the hour of 10 a.m. on Monday.
Senator from 26.
Mr. President, I second the motion.
You've heard the motion and the second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And the motion is carried.